A boy who once slept on cardboard in the streets of Manila and worked selling donuts and cleaning gyms just to get by eventually rose to the highest level of boxing and captured world championships across 8 different weight classes. Manny Pacquiao earned hundreds of millions of dollars, became a beloved figure in the Philippines, stepped into politics, and then saw much of what he built slowly damaged by legal disputes, tax troubles, broken agreements, unsuccessful political efforts, and personal struggles. His story shows how one of the greatest athletes in Philippine history ended up facing challenges that could not be solved inside a boxing ring. There is a level of poverty that leaves a permanent mark on a person. Not the kind where people give up vacations or buy cheaper cars. The kind where a family has so little food that a father is forced to kill the family dog so everyone can eat. Emmanuel Dapadran Pacquiao was born on December 17, 1978 in Kiba, Bukidnon, on the island of Mindanao in the Philippines. He was the fourth of 6 children, and his family lived in such severe poverty that finding enough food was a daily struggle. Mindanao, where he spent his early years, is the second largest island in the country and has long been one of its poorest areas. While Manila offered wealth and opportunity, Mindanao remained far behind. Poverty there was not only about money. Families often worried about whether they would have anything to eat that day. When Manny was in 6th grade, his parents separated after his father was unfaithful. His mother Dionysia was left to raise 6 children alone. The breakup caused not only emotional pain but also serious financial hardship. A mother with 6 children in one of the poorest parts of the country had no support system to rely on. There was no welfare program and no unemployment assistance. Every day was about finding a way to survive. Manny sold bread in the streets, collected scrap paper to earn a little money, and accepted any job that paid even a few pesos. When the time came to choose between staying in school and helping his family survive, the decision was already made. He left school in 6th grade because of extreme poverty. There was no backup plan and no safety net. There was only survival. By the age of 12, after giving up on the possibility of a formal education, he left school and began chasing a future in boxing. After leaving school, Manny dedicated himself fully to boxing and moved into a modest 1-story house in General Santos with his uncle Sardo Mejia. Even though his uncle had no professional coaching background, he became Manny's first trainer. Training conditions were basic with no modern equipment specialists or fancy facilities. There was only a simple ring, worn-out gloves, and a dream that felt far beyond reach. By the age of 15, Manny had already earned a reputation as one of the best young boxers in the Philippines and regularly fought in public parks around General Santos. Those matches were rough and loosely organized, with spectators placing bets and fighters earning whatever money the crowd decided to give them. It was in those parks that Manny developed the style that would later make him famous. Constant pressure, incredible hand speed, and a refusal to quit no matter what happened. Still, he wanted more than his hometown could offer, so he secretly boarded a ship headed for Manila. It was not a carefully planned move. It was a risky decision made by a teenager who believed the capital was his only chance at a better life. When he arrived, he slept on cardboard boxes in the streets. Sidewalks became his bedroom, and doorways became his shelter. He sold donuts to commuters and office workers in the mornings and cleaned boxing gyms so he could train there. Every day was about survival while continuing to improve as a fighter. At just 14 years old, he was living on the streets, working construction jobs and deciding whether to buy food for himself or send money home to his mother. Sometimes he chose his mother and went hungry. That was the life Manny came from, and it became the foundation of everything that followed. 1 year later, at age 16, he turned professional and made his official debut as a junior flyweight in 1995. On January 22, he faced Edmund Ignacio and won by decision. The money was small by international standards, but it was more than he had ever held at. Championship. Still in his teens, he had become a world champion. The victory electrified the Philippines because a former street kid and school dropout was now holding a world title. Yet success brought new challenges. The same hunger that pushed him forward also made him reckless. In 1996, he suffered his first professional defeat when Rustico Torrecampo knocked him out in the 3rd round. For someone who had invested everything into boxing, the loss felt far bigger than a simple setback. It threatened his entire future. Instead of giving up, he responded with a 15-fight winning streak. During that run, he claimed the WBC flyweight title and rebuilt both his confidence and reputation. Promoters noticed him, and the Filipino media began calling him a national treasure. Then another setback arrived. In 1999, he defended his title against Medgon Singsurat. The fight was expected to strengthen his position as champion, but instead he was knocked out in the third round and lost the belt less than a year after winning it. Once again he started strong, only for a single punch to change everything. Most fighters would have struggled to recover from 2 knockout losses before turning 22, but Manny refused to stay down. He rebuilt again and moved up in weight. That decision marked the beginning of one of boxing's greatest achievements. Most fighters spend their careers in a single division, and moving up even once is considered dangerous. Manny eventually conquered 8 weight classes. He kept winning titles and gaining worldwide attention. Over a remarkable 25-year career, he became an 8-division world champion, a lineal champion in 5 weight classes, and the only boxer to win world championships across 4 different decades. By 2015, his pay-per-view events had generated more than $1 billion in revenue. The transformation was incredible for someone who once struggled to buy food. Along the way he defeated 22 world champions including Juan Manuel Marquez, David Diaz, Oscar de la Hoya, Ricky Hatton, Miguel Cotto, Joshua Clottey, Antonio Margarito, Shane Mosley, Brandon Rios, Timothy Bradley, Chris Algieri, Jesse Vargas, Lucas Mathis, Adrian Broner, and Keith Thurman. Several of those opponents were already legends, but Manny did more than beat them. He dominated them. He became the first boxer in history to win world titles in 8 divisions and captured 12 major world championships. In 2009, he was named one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people, not only because of boxing but because of what he represented. He became proof that even the harshest poverty could be overcome. His popularity reached extraordinary levels. During his fights, crime rates reportedly dropped across the Philippines as streets emptied and people gathered around televisions to watch. The entire nation seemed to stop whenever Manny stepped into the ring. Yet as his wealth and fame grew, his personal life began falling apart. Sudden success changed him dramatically. The man who once struggled to survive became heavily involved in partying, gambling, drinking, and chasing women. Manny later admitted that fame went to his head. What started as enjoyment turned into a destructive lifestyle. He spent countless nights drinking and gambling, while affairs damaged his marriage. Cockfighting became a major obsession. He owned thousands of roosters, built facilities for them, and wagered huge amounts of money on matches. He also lost millions in casinos in places such as Macau, Las Vegas, and Manila. Friends recalled seeing him lose enormous sums in a single night. The gambling extended beyond casinos to basketball card games and anything else that offered excitement. At the same time, play an important role in changing his life. Although raised Catholic, he experienced a powerful religious awakening in 2012. Manny described having a vivid dream in which he saw an intense light and heard a voice asking why he had turned away. The experience deeply affected him and convinced him he had been given another chance. From that point forward, his lifestyle changed completely. According to those close to him, he stopped drinking, gambling, and chasing women. He gave away his thousands of fighting roosters and even discouraged those around him from gambling or drinking. He repaired his relationship with Gene Key, asked for forgiveness, and committed himself to rebuilding their family. He began attending church regularly and spending significant time reading the Bible. By the end of 2009, Manny and Gene Key had started repairing their marriage, and later the actress married someone else, which finally ended the relationship. People close to Manny often credited Gene Key for helping protect his finances and keeping his life stable. She became the person willing to make difficult financial decisions when he could not. However, personal growth could not erase the consequences of earlier mistakes. Years of gambling, lavish spending, and supporting a large entourage had already created financial strain. An even bigger problem was approaching. While Manny was rebuilding his life, tax authorities in both the Philippines and the United States were examining his finances. Eventually, he faced tax claims totaling around $68 million. The issue had been developing for years until it reached a point where it could no longer be ignored, and it threatened to become one of the biggest battles of his life. The breakdown was harsh and difficult. A year-by-year record showed his tax debts from 2006 to 2010. In 2006, he owed over $1 million. In 2007, the amount increased further. In 2008, it rose again to several million. In 2009, it continued to grow. In 2010, it reached more than $4 million. These were only the American tax claims. Every year the debt became larger. Every year interest and penalties were added on top. These figures were only what the IRS was demanding. The situation in the Philippines was even more serious. The Bureau of Internal Revenue filed charges against Manny Pacquiao, who was both a boxing star and a public official. They accused him of breaking national tax laws. They wanted full access to his financial records. This included his tax returns, his accounting books, his list of assets, and his fight earnings from major bouts in the United States. The investigation was very strict and highly public. The tax authority said Pacquiao earned huge money in the United States and still owed taxes in the Philippines. Pacquiao said he already paid taxes in the United States, and a treaty between the two countries meant he should not be taxed twice. The legal fight continued for many years. On November 26 in 2013, the Philippine Tax Office froze his bank accounts. They claimed he failed to pay around $2.2 billion in taxes from his United States earnings between 2008 and 2009. This meant all his money in local banks was locked. He could not use any of it. He was one of the richest athletes in the country, yet he could not access his own funds. The authorities also demanded around $50 million in back taxes. They believed he was hiding his real income. They checked many banks and found very little money under his name. Only a small amount was visible. This made them suspicious that his money was stored elsewhere. They believed it could be in other names or foreign accounts. The timing caused major problems. Pacquiao said he could not even help victims of a major typhoon because his accounts were frozen. The disaster killed thousands of people and left millions homeless. He said he had to borrow money to send aid. The situation created public anger and sympathy at the same time. A national hero was unable to help his own people. Pacquiao insisted he did not owe extra taxes in the Philippines because of the tax agreement with the United States. His team also provided proof that taxes were already taken in America. But the Philippine authorities kept demanding official documents from the IRS. The process was slow and complicated. Because of the pressure, he even tried to avoid fighting in the United States. The tax issues were affecting his career choices. At the same time, he faced lawsuits in America. Some accountants claimed they helped him fix his finances and even lent him money when his accounts were frozen. They said he never paid them back. This led to legal action against him. He reportedly owed them hundreds of thousands of dollars. The long tax battle continued for nearly 10 years. The stress was constant and legal costs were high. His public image also suffered. Instead of only being seen as a national hero, he was now also discussed as someone facing serious tax problems. In April 2017, while serving as a senator, he tried to settle the case with the Philippine tax authorities. They still maintained that taxes were owed even if he had paid in the United States. The negotiations continued, and the dispute remained unresolved for some time. After years of complex legal battles involving large teams of lawyers on both sides, the case finally reached a conclusion in 2022. A Philippine court canceled around PHP 3.3 billion, or roughly $55.8 million, in tax assessments against Manny Pacquiao. The court ruled that the tax agency did not have enough solid evidence to support the claim and that Pacquiao's right to due process had been violated. It also found that he and his wife Jean Key were not properly informed about the basis of the assessment, which had been issued only under the boxer's name. As a result, the massive tax bill was completely dismissed. On paper, it was a full victory for Pacquiao. However, the impact of the long dispute could not be undone. Years of frozen bank accounts, repeated legal complaints, and constant public suspicion had already taken a heavy toll. Even though the court ruled in his favor, the stress, legal expenses, and damage to his reputation remained. The legal issues also did not end there, as other disputes were still ongoing and more challenges were approaching, including ones that would directly affect his boxing career. One of the biggest moments in that career came on May 2, 2015, at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, where Floyd Mayweather Jr. faced Manny Pacquiao in what was promoted as the fight of the century. It was a clash between Mayweather, an undefeated 5-division world champion, and Pacquiao, an 8-division world champion. The fight had been nearly 5 years in the making, with endless negotiations, demands, and delays. Fans around the world waited for it as both fighters remained at or near their peak during much of that time, but by the time it finally happened, many believed they were no longer at their absolute best. Still, the fight was too massive to ignore. It became the highest-grossing boxing match in history at the time, generating around $600 million in total revenue. Mayweather earned about $220 million, while Pacquiao made around $150 million. Even after years of build-up and debate, the event delivered record-breaking financial results and became one of the most talked about fights in boxing history.